Everybody get up on the dance floor and go, and go, and go crazy. And go crazy. And go crazy. And go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to LA. Go crazy like a dum-dum. Eastside homeboy, where I come from. Dance on the floor till you go numb. No fighting, no hating, no red rum. This is OOO City. All the way to the bay, hit the bass, feel me. Catch a case cause it's beating up your Chevy. Get you moving side to side, getting all sweaty. Make you work it, work it, work it out. Turn the volume up loud. This a draw crowd, make it all shout. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to LA. Hit play on the track and I'm ready. Like a quarterback, Tom Brady. Get you all in the frenzy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to LA. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. All the way from the O to LA. Go, go, go crazy. Go, go, go crazy. Go, go, go crazy. From the O to LA. Go, go, go crazy. Go, 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 go crazy. Go, go, go crazy. All the way from the O to
What's going on? Hold on. Wait. We can't do the feedback.
No feedback?
It did for a minute there. I had the what's going on, like, oh, I can't. Anyway, what's going on, Scoop Nation? It is that time, 8:04. I know here in just any second we're about to switch over to 8:05, so I had to make sure I got that in there. So we are right on time for another Scoop radio show, Scoop Show. Okay, and we are so glad that you decided to slide on in and get comfortable and have a good conversation, a much needed conversation. We have a lot of good topics on tap for us this evening. So yeah, you got the right one on this fine Tuesday evening. So I want to, first of all, like I said, thank you guys for tuning in, and I want to get you comfortable and let you know how we like to do things around here if this is your first time chilling with the crew. Okay, so we are all over these social media streets. Okay, we out here. Okay, out here. Get your pen and your pad ready. Okay, because we are out here and we want you to never miss a show. And to do that, we need you to follow us everywhere. You can follow us on Facebook. On Facebook at Real Scoop Show. You can follow us on YouTube at The Scoop Show, and you can follow us on Instagram at Scoop Radio Show. You can get the replays. We post conversations. We comment back. We talk back, okay? We talk to you nice. We talk to you nice right here at Scoop Nation. So be sure that you hit those comment sections whenever you decide to hang out with us, because we definitely enjoy your feedback. Be sure to drop where you are from, like Miss Latoya Rose did. Hey, sis, thank you so much. Drop where you are tuning in from. We got Tulsa in the house. I know we sometimes have Texas. We have the Chi. I think we reached Florida last week. I told y'all, we out here. Okay, so be sure that you rep for your city in the comments section and all throughout the show with your thoughts, your comments, your feels. We need those in the comment section. Also, be sure and share this feed to your stream. Okay, your friends, they're gonna be commenting, they're gonna be asking where are you, tagging you in different comments and other places that aren't as cool as the Scoop. So you need to let them know where you're gonna be. Okay, so go on, hit that share now so they can go on and not interrupt you for the next 2 hours. Get out my DMs because I'm busy. Okay, so hit that share, get that on out the way so you can get comfortable And do you have your drink? Do you have your drink? I don't have my drink. I just sent the text to the children to bring me my drink. It should show up shortly, okay? Because I don't have my stuff together, but it's coming. All right. But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get this party officially started because all of the rules, the regs, and my rambling is out of the way. Bro, how are you? How you doing?
Listen, ready for this show? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Yeah. I'm good. How you doing?
I am good. I've been talking a lot today, even before right now. So I don't know how I got in here without my cup. Like I'm tripping, but I'm good.
You was moving.
I was.
You was moving today. That's all that was.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
But
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Good day.
Mm-hmm.
Good day.
Hey, Gayla, what's going on, sis?
What's going on? There we go. I don't forgot my microphone. There we go. All right.
We hear you, Riggs.
You know, they say it helps better. So
I'm dating myself right now. Talking about I hear you, Riggs. He's like, who?
Right. Yeah, it's good. We got a lot of good stuff tonight, as you said. As Q said again, y'all make sure y'all comment, drop the comments all night long. Drop the comments all night long. Hit the share button. Tag your people like Latoya did. Tag Ebony, so we can everybody can join this conversation. We got there's a lot going on out in the world right about now.
Too much.
It's a lot. It's a lot happening, and so we'll get into some of it tonight. There's a lot going on.
Oh, too much. Yeah, some of it. We can only tap in just a little bit tonight.
Yeah. So Father's Day was this past weekend, so that was good. I couldn't complain about that. Me and Trey had a good time, so yeah, no complaints over here. So, all right, you ready to jump on these comments and these topics?
Let's do it.
Right, let's go ahead and do it. So, of course, you all know that our hot topics are brought to you by our favorite Black-owned gas station in Oklahoma City by Bob Shamrock. Bob Shamrock at 2901 Northwest 10th Street in Oklahoma City, right across from the fairgrounds, where their motto is that you can pull up and fill up your gas tank as well as your stomach. So get on over to Bob Shamrock, again, Black-owned gas station, hence the name Bob's, and get your gas tank as well as your stomach filled up with the wonderful, tasty food that they have over there. So again, Bob Shamrock, 2901 Northwest 10th Street in Oklahoma City. Go ahead and hit them up and tell them your people at the Scoop sent you. All right. Let's go ahead and get into this first one. I think I did this one. Yeah, I think this one was me. Yeah, I did this one. So we're going to start off with a bang. So I asked the question. I said, ladies, one complaint some men have is some women's inability to be accountable for their actions, but wanting to demand men be accountable for ours. Do you think there is legitimacy to this complaint? Then I also asked, because I am a person who is all about solutions, I said also, how can we both, men and women, stop shift blaming when our actions are brought to us by our partners? So for those who don't know what shift blaming is, what that is when your partner says, you did XYZ that bothered me, that hurt my feelings, that I don't like, and you say, well, I did that, but I did it because you did da 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 da. That's called shift blaming. And so my question is, how do we get to a space? First of all, is it legitimate that women are asking men to be accountable and they're not willing to be as accountable? Some women, excuse me, I had to say some women. And how do we get to the place where we are all, really what I want to know, how do we all get to a place where we're all accountable for what we do? Now, let me preface this. I'm going to start on this one because I want to give some context as to really where this came from. So I remember several years ago when when we were working through whether or not I would be divorced or not. And my ex-wife would say, you did this. And I would say, well, yeah, I did do that. I was shift blame. I did it as a reaction to you doing A, B, C, D. And
Mm.
in my mind, I thought I was giving context, but for the and the rationale as to why I did it because you did this. So when you did this, my reaction was that, not recognizing that in shift blaming or not just owning what I did and letting it be that, I was in her mind and in general not taking up responsibility for what I did, but trying to excuse my action, which was not what I was trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it really does. It does do that. It makes the person's feelings or the person's opinion illegitimate. That's what. So, how do we stop that? How do we stop that? How do we get ourselves into this position where we can just say? And once I learned how to do that, and I stopped doing that, it completely changed the narrative of the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, for me, I wanted to community. How do we get to a place where we can stop? Where we stop doing that? And again, to the first question, do women really do this? Are women, some women, is that the overall cultural thing right now that they're asking men to be accountable but refuse to be accountable themselves? All right, go for it, Q.
Yes, to the first question. Yes, this is the thing that I think we struggle with. I think it is something that we struggle with, one, because I mean, no one likes to be wrong. No one likes to be shown their stuff. Nobody. But women, because we feel, and often we do, but because we feel as though we cover and carry so much, I think sometimes it's like when we do mess up, it's like, well, we should be able to be covered for that because I do all those other things. It gets very easy to shift blame because we have so many things. We take note of all of the other things that we do. Inventory. We're very good at inventory and itemizing our deeds. So when you give us these one or two things that we could do better at or have a problem with, it gets very easy for us to be like, this is what you say when I do all of these things. And it makes it does make it hard to have a constructive conversation about what needs to be better. And that's just truth. If just to stay on topic and to answer the question, yeah, I do think it's easy for us to do, and especially because words are our thing. We have lots of words. We can use words, and we can have it so you start talking, you forget what you're even trying to say if we get on the right tangent. You know what I mean? You forget what your whole original issue or question or concern was because we done talked in circles and stuff. So like, I get it. To your second question, I think it's important a lot of the times for us to take note first that the person who's bringing this criticism or concern to you is doing it from a place of, I'm on your side. This is going to help us be better. As far as the whole shift blaming is concerned, there's room for improvement in any good thing. So I think we have to feel like, if you can't feel safe enough to be corrected with someone, you really need to take inventory of why that person is in the space to feel they can correct you. You know what I mean? Like, why is this person here if you can't be vulnerable enough to take that correction from them? Because we're not perfect. Yeah. So you know what I mean? If the person that lays down with you every night and does life with you does not have the ability to show you, who does?
Yeah. I wonder, that's a really good point. I was going to say, I wonder if so for you in the context of marriage, I absolutely agree. Mm-hmm. Thinking pre-marriage, I wonder if something like this happens, I wonder if we assume or even think that that person does have that space to do that, which brings to your point, which still brings us to the same question, is if that's the case, why is that person in that position in the first place? Because if you're not going to give them that space, then what level of intimacy are you really trying to have in a relationship where you can expose that part or yourself to be wrong and still be, secure?
Yep. Or wrong. Strangers get to deal with surface level you. Strangers get to take what they get. The people that you let in, you have to be willing to be bendable for to some degree. You have to be.
So I was having a conversation the other day. I think it's really, you have to because I got to use my mind, my Bible mind. Is you almost have to be willing to return back to your original state of nakedness. So really, it was that's going in the next book. I ain't gonna give y'all too much. But matter of fact, but I mean, it's really what it is. It's like we have to be, like you said, the outside world gets to see the outside me, but the inside people who are inside of my world should get to see the inside me. So that's actually, I believe, very fair. But I think the problem really comes back to, again, are we really saying that this is the space that you occupy, or are we saying we like the title, we like the sex, we like the benefits that come with it, and not the work that comes with it? Like, I don't think that a lot of us necessarily understand the work that comes with allowing somebody to be intimate. And I don't mean work as in like dread, but the work of being vulnerable, and having to muster up the energy and the courage at times to allow somebody to see something that in times past has probably been an issue, or a place that has not been safe. So that's a good point. I think the other part about with the shift blaming, I think that is recognizing, because I'm also answering, so LaGayla's question too was, is there a place for context? How do you make room for that? So to answer that question too is, I think you have to take them as a separate situation. So if I'm coming to you saying you doing this hurt my feelings, then I need to address what I said that hurt your feelings and repair that. Now at a later time, I can come back and address what you did that got me to that, because most likely you're going to do it again. And I can address it at that time. Like, hey, when you said my mama, that caused me to say something that crazy. I don't like when you talk about my mother. That bothers me when you do that. That's out of bounds for me. That's about a boundary that I don't want to cross ever again. So we can address that at another time, I think. But I think context, to LaGayla's question, I think you make context only when you're having the conversation about the entire, like the relationship or the situation, but not when we're talking about what a person did to hurt you. Because in that moment, it's not really about the context, it's about the feeling. And so I got to address the feeling of the person before I could ever deal with the context, because if the person is wounded, they're not going to hear context either way. Anyway.
And I will add to that, if you handle that initial conversation of, and I won't even say the woman, like the person, when you initially handle that interaction and they come to you vulnerable that way and say, hey, this thing bothered me, hurt me, can we change this, not do this again, or whatever. If you handle that in a mature way, a loving way, a receptive way, a way that shows that I'm willing to work towards a solution so this does not happen again, if that's caught early enough, like if they feel comfortable enough with you early on enough to have that before that all that thought stuff settles in and they start to doubt and move and create more than what's necessary, and you can squash that, a lot of the times that person is going to then ask you, like, what did I do to get us here? You know what I mean? How can we, they will then, you won't have to wait until they hurt you again to say the thing. They will want to know, why did we get here? Like, I know you don't usually hurt me. Like, I know that's not your way of working. You know, that ain't how you love me. What did I do to get us here? But first, you have to acknowledge that you did cause harm. If that was not your intention, you need to acknowledge that. Even if it was your intention, you need to acknowledge the fact that, I did that. I did do that. And, you know, I was wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to do that again.
I said it. Yep.
I did.
And I said it knowing that it would hurt your feelings. Yes,
exactly.
I did. And it was wrong. I was wrong for that. I apologize. You know, and then I think the other, again, and we're going to move on, is at that point, then we need to work towards, okay, what do we do to not get that to that point? All right. And then that might be the time to say, before we get to that point, one of us, when I say stop, we need to stop. Or if this is, you know what I mean? We got to figure out what
you safe word, something.
Yeah, what that is to let me know that we about to get into the disrespectful zone, and I'm not, and I need to back up. I'm about to say something real disrespectful. Let me go ahead and shut my mouth, or I'm about to shut down because, you know, good part. Look at it, says, and you can be admired despite your imperfections. It doesn't mean he or she does not want you anymore. That's true, but I will say this. With people with certain types of attachment styles and with certain types of trauma, that doesn't register. So there are some of us, and I have been this in my past, who believe that unless you perform a certain way, which is perfect, you are not worthy of love. And so that's something that you as an individual then have to deal with because it's impossible for you to be perfect. So yes, you are correct. I think for some people who are in that performance measure of they feel like they have to perform well in order to be loved well or to be loved, then to say you can be imperfect and I'm still gonna love you, it's like that's not true. That's not the reality of our world.
That's like when your mama tells you that you're the most beautiful girl in the room, and you're looking at the chick that all the dudes are looking at. You're like, yeah, okay, mama, but you, mama, you're supposed to say that.
Right. All right. Next, you got anything else for them?
Nope.
All right, here we go. Let's keep it going. Stop. This one is this JB that did this one?
I think so. Yeah. Yep.
So he posted, stop telling fathers they should have fought harder to see their children. Start asking mothers why did he have to fight at all. Stop telling fathers they should have fought harder to see their children and start asking mothers why did he have to fight at all.
Yep. I agree. I will say to this one was one of those, yes and no for me. And I said that on the post. For the fathers who are active, who are involved, who are trying, making the effort, all of those things. Yeah. Sis, stop playing. Let that man see his kids. It didn't work out with y'all. Let's let that man see his kids. I promise you, if you free up some time for that man to see his kids, you won't even be worried about what he's doing because you'll be able to free up your time to find a man of your own. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And eventually your children will figure out that you are keeping them away from their father. Like there will be a time where they will be able to reach out and figure things out for themselves. It's just going to happen. My caveat to that was because that's just a very blanket statement that sums up a very big issue. There are times where a parent is flat out unfit, where a father is flat out unfit. And when it comes to parenting a child and providing stability and consistency and a sound mind, body, spirit, and sense of self, the parent who is left to be the primary parent has to make some decisions. It doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always feel fair. But if you are causing harm to that child, whether it be due to your irresponsibility or you're flat out just you ain't gonna do what you're supposed to be doing, then you just gonna have to own that. And those are the times where I think, get your shit together. Sorry, dang. Yeah. But get it together. You know what I mean? Get it together because it is about the kids. And not every mother who says you don't have it together for what we got going on over here is trying to be bitter or keep you away from your children. Sure. I've watched a father who is doing what they're supposed to, fight hard and do the thing. And those fathers, I feel for them. I think that it needs to be much easier. So this is not me trying to shift blame. There's just two sides of this coin. Absolutely. You know what I mean? There are just two sides of this, and it happens.
There's levels to this one. Yeah.
Yes.
The only thing I would say is I would add to what you said is one of the delineations I think we have to make too is that just because there's a difference between the other parent is unfit. No, I'll say two things. One is there's a difference between the other parent is unfit and the other parent doesn't parent the way you want.
Yes.
So I think we have to differentiate between those. Are they really not a good parent, or they don't do things the way I would want them done? I don't think that that's a reason. Again, we're not talking about harm, but we're talking about harm in terms of or doing something the way that you don't want it done. Right. I think that's one thing. The other thing I would say is, I forgot it that quick.
You should have went with the new thought first.
No, I should have said the new one first. If anyway, okay, must not have been for me to say, but yeah. So we'll go with that one. I think that we have to delineate between those two.
Mm-hmm.
Like just because a father is not. Oh, that's all right, I got it. What I was going to say was, I also think that it's not that. I wonder why it's not as like as a father. So in this same scenario, if the mother is unfit, the father doesn't then have that same right to say she's unfit.
Yep.
So give me the child. So that to me is problematic, because now we're not thinking about what's best for the child at this point now, because you if you're the person as a mother, if you have control, so to speak, then because the child is with you more than with the father, then now we're not thinking about what's best for the child. We're thinking that because you have control, you can be an unfit parent, but me as a father, I have to perform up to your expectations in order to see my own child, which is
trash. That is trash. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I've said for a long time that our child support, our paternity, our family court laws are trash, like in general. Like we've got some work to do. I've seen, my family has had some history with the foster care system and like emergency foster care and long-term. It's some crazy stuff that happens in family court. And yeah, these laws need to change. Our laws are lazy. They're really lazy, and they don't account for the changes that have happened in our society, within our cultures, our economy. None of that. So it's time to change.
Crazy stuff in court, and I'm just like,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
I think I told you about the one where the lady, the lady was drunk driving, took her baby, not like a toddler, but a baby, into the bar with her, got drunk. They had to call the police to take her home, went to DUI. The stepfather was like, give me the baby. And the judge was like, no, we're going to keep it. Like, they was like, well, she's went to rehab. It was like, but this is her second time in rehab. They was like, well, we still going to let the baby stay with her. I was like, are y'all really? Like I was like, oh, and these were not black. These was a white couple. So I was like, oh, if the white dude can't even win, I know, it was, I'm being facetious when I say that part, but I've just seen a lot of crazy stuff having gone there. Oh, let me also give my disclaimer. The thoughts of this discussion have absolutely nothing to do with my life. So for those of you who'd like to go back and tell my ex-wife, kick rocks, because this ain't about me. So
don't be messy. That's my disclaimer. Don't be messy.
Because she want to see it. It ain't like she don't know how I feel anyway. So anyway, but y'all be messy anyway. What's up, Kels? So definitely, I think we do need to. What you said is right. I mean, that's
and
that needs to be said.
So crazy.
That else needs to be said. Let's go ahead and get to this interesting one. All right. So the question was, why are women okay with the first two, but not the last one? So as a relationship guru, so to speak, Steve Harvey been divorced twice, currently on third marriage. Women, Steve keeps it real, saved my marriage. He holds me accountable. He is the best relationship guru. Derek Jackson cheated on his wife with 3 different women. I don't know if that's true, but okay. One of them pregnant. Don't know if that's true. Women, y'all make mistakes. Derek still speaks the truth. Derek is only human. I'm still buying his books. He saved my relationship. I still love him. He holds me accountable. Kevin Samuels, divorced twice. He hates women. How can you give advice when you've had 2 failed marriages? He is judgmental. He hates himself. He never holds men accountable. So why is the energy different towards Kevin Samuels than it is towards Steve Harvey and Derek Jackson?
Very plainly, it's delivery. Like, we've said this over and over and over. I don't know why this is so hard for people to get.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, this is so simple to me, but like, Yeah, it's so simple. It's the delivery. It's the delivery, because we can be told hard things, but you don't have to say it hard. You can tell me a hard thing and not have to say it hard. Yeah. Don't know why that's so hard to understand, but why we keep having this fight to talk to each other so crazy. Like, I don't know why that gives those who enjoy his commentary so much joy to see women react that way. I don't understand that personally. I don't understand.
So after today, like, I wonder if this meme would still be put up, because the brothers in the group, I'm just gonna call it what would be real, got real silent on the post where Kevin Samuels calls out dudes. Mm-hmm. So,
because it's not the message, it's the delivery that they like.
I think it's the message.
To say the things.
I think he definitely gets to say the things that men
in the way they want to say it.
Which the thing I don't understand is, if that's what you like, what's wrong with just saying it? Like, I get he doesn't have to be accountable to anybody for saying it, mm-hmm. and so he can say it. But to me, my thinking is, if my significant other was watching this and was like excited about this, I'd be like, what's wrong with you? Like, why? We need to talk about something, because you clearly like this dude and what this dude is saying. What do you like about what he's saying that has y'all? I watched one of his videos. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never watched a full video of his. Mm-hmm. Don't need to. But today I watched about an hour of one of his videos, and I'm like, all right, that's what he's got a lot of valid points to what he was saying. And he was talking to men, mm-hmm. saying men ain't nothing because we don't focus on power and blah, blah, blah. What I was impressed with, to be quite honest, is the number of men who were giving him money. Mm-hmm. I was like, y'all don't give money to the church, but y'all give money to this dude? Wow. But so clearly he's saying something that a lot of dudes want to hear, and that's fine. I mean, I think the problem is, like, for you and I, we've had conversations about him before, and I said it. I think he says some good stuff. I think he says some bad stuff, mm-hmm. and I think Steve Harvey says some good stuff.
All three of them have made points. Yeah.
I think Derek Jackson says some good stuff. I think my overall problem with all three have been a lack of balance in their responses. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yep. I think that none of the three of them do a great job, and I could throw myself in there. I'm probably guilty of that too, but it's very unbalanced in your responses, that you can't blame all of the relationship on the man, or all of the relationship on the woman, without knowing particulars, without getting it. So, I mean, it's very and that's very difficult to do in a general setting. But by and large, most of the information that Derek Jackson gives is slanted towards women. Yep. By and large, most of the information Kevin Samuel gives is slanted towards men. That is not balanced. That's not healthy for the overall betterment of Black love. Mm-mm. My opinion.
They're the extreme versions of the crowds that they are speaking to.
Yeah.
There's no happy medium, which makes it where makes it hard to digest even the good stuff. That's what I say. There's always an asterisk to them, because you never know when the foolish fire is about to start. You know, you never know. You never know.
Yep.
You never know. But yeah, I think all three of them. Kevin Samuels is just the new one, but like eventually it'll all wear off, because if anyone who desires some level of realistic relationshiping, you have to realize, okay, that's kind of done now. You know what I mean? That's kind of done now. You take it for what it is and move on. When it stops getting the reaction, then you move on. And hopefully that's sooner rather than later.
I doubt it.
Yeah, but I think Way posted a video about. I didn't watch the video. I saw the tagline, and I understood I already knew where they were coming from. Like, Kevin Samuels is the voice for the men right now. The men who feel as though they have been unheard and have all of these things to say, and we just haven't been listening. And it's so interesting to me, because it's not even about if you have something that you need people to understand, that you have a desire to grow relationship with, I would always think that you would try and deliver it in a way that's going to provoke the best possible response to get the best possible result, to get the deepest level of understanding, the biggest buy-in, to be one on the same accord. And this is not gender specific. This is people who have a goal that want to actually reach it, that plan on putting work in. So if your target audience is women, and women have said, this is how we receive XYZ things, this is how we receive criticism, this is how we understand it, we're willing to work, yada, 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 yada. Why do we attach ourselves to the extreme opposite of that and then get upset when women aren't receptive to that? Or if you take that show on the road in your life and we're like, no, don't bring me that. That don't work right here. Then it's, see, you don't want to hear it. But we've already given you the blueprint on how to get those messages in. Now, every woman is not receptive to that. The same way every man is not receptive to Kevin Samuels' way of doing things. This is not a blanket thing. But like, to me, I don't understand that if that is the goal, why do you choose the complete opposite to be your messenger? I don't understand that. If that's the goal, like those
the goal. So I think at this point, my response is that men in general have heard so much Derek Jackson, that now to hear that the goal is now to be heard. It's not to, remember we talked about that pendulum. Like, it's that pendulum of now it's so far over here that now it's like, no, let's bring it back to a place where we feel like we're being heard just as much as you. So I don't think the answer is really at this point to have substantive agreement or come back to a place where our relationships are whole, but it's a place to say, it's to now come back and say, y'all done beat up on us long enough. And now somebody is saying the things, like you said, that we want to say, or that we've been trying to get y'all to hear. And now y'all don't have a choice but to hear him because he's.
But we do, though. That's what I'm saying. But we do, though. Like, we're not listening to Kevin Samuels. And what you're doing is when you're beating us over the head. Yeah, not the ones but that's why they can't say it the way he does, because you can't speak like him and then slide in the DMs of the women that you talk crazy to like that. So you share those videos in those spaces hoping that it touches a nerve, and it doesn't, because women aren't receptive to this communication style. Like, it isn't. And if you do, they're not receptive in the way that you want them to be. Like, you're not getting the result that you want unless you want to argue. And if you want to argue, then just say that. But don't come at it as though women don't want to hear. We said we don't want to hear that. So now you're just being aggravating now. Like, this is what you want. If you want to fight, then just say that. Just say that. Own that. If that's what you want to do, because this dude is not the one that's getting in. No, the women you want aren't receptive to the Kevin Samuels. Those aren't the women that you want. Those are the women that you play with. Those are the women you play with that like Kevin Samuels. The women that you want ain't fooling with Kevin Samuels. So you know that. So like, play with your mama. I'm not for that. You know that. Like, plain as day.
All right, Terry says, is it even possible to have a balance? Yes, it is.
Yeah,
it's possible to be balanced. And when I say balance, I'm not necessarily saying balance in every conversation or shift blaming or trying to, because it's not even, because even like you can say things in a harsh way and still be, and still be like, you can say something and be angry. It's the totality of the conversation that has to be balanced. Meaning, every time we have a conversation about whatever, you always want to, you never want to take ownership, or you're never putting it in any place else but this one thing.
Right.
That's not balance. So, which is why
for anybody, for either gender.
Yeah, for either gender. Yeah. When it's all, as I said, when it's always the man's fault, which is the Derek Jackson, it is typically always the man's fault. No matter what happens, it's the man's fault. If the man do better, it don't matter what, versus this, where it's typically always the woman's fault. So now that's why today, when I bring up his thing about today, it's like, what do we think about this?
Yeah, it was quiet. And you can't tell me nobody clicked it. You can't tell me some of the folks that usually show up for him and pom-pom for KS did not click that video, and they were like, "Nah, never mind. I'm gonna just let them have that." I guess he got that one, you know. But it says so much. It says
And
so much.
Even if he did that one, to me is not doesn't bring balance. Like that was one.
That was one. Yeah.
Again, I'm not, like I said, I'm not suggesting that the man don't have valid points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm suggesting that if you want whole, healthy relationships, today when I was listening to him, what I realized was his context. I'm like, oh, I finally get it. His context is like relationships in like the 70s.
Mm.
And so for him, that is a model of what relationships are supposed to be like. So
I think Steve Harvey falls in that same space. That's why people don't really pay much attention, because he's very his methods are very outdated now. Even when he tried to be balanced, it was outdated. Like it didn't match what happens right now. Even when he tried to come for both men and women, we were like, but we don't do that anymore.
We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I just think that, again, we got to be better about how we label people and all that stuff. But don't get me started, because they're going to say I hate them again. No, I'm kidding.
Nah, we'll get there eventually.
This is our joke. Like, by the way, they think I hate them. I don't hate them. I just don't think you're right.
I don't hate them. Yeah, I'm very clear about how I feel about them and what I don't like.
Oh, this is another one. Okay, here we go. Guys tell her she's wife material, but none of them tried to make her a wife. What could she be doing wrong? Guys tell her she's wife material, but none of them tried to make her a wife. What could she be doing wrong? This is actually not a personal question, but a question somebody sent me.
Mm-hmm. Trying to remember, you asked this one a couple days ago. I'm trying to remember what I said. I think one of the things that I said was she could, if a woman has been told this enough times, because it said guys will tell her, like she's been told this multiple times. After a while, especially if she desires to be a wife, you move in wife energy. Like you feel like you're constantly auditioning, even if it doesn't work out with that next guy. After a while, you know that you are somebody's wife. So it's hard to sometimes separate wife from girlfriend. All of those other guys see me as a wife from, does this guy see me as a wife? So a lot of men don't work that way. You know what I mean? Women tell men all the time, you could be my husband. Okay, nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe I could be, maybe not. You know what I mean? They're not all caught up in being married that way. Men are worried about that one relationship in that moment. They're not really concerned with what all the other guys have told, you know what I mean? Or all the other girls have said. That if anything, that boosts them to the point where, yeah, I know. You know, it's one of them, yeah, I know. As opposed to, you sure? Am I your wife? Is it you? You know, and that's the kind of energy
that shows
sometimes. Yeah. And I think that I've seen that happen. And I don't think the women always know that that's what's happening. So that I think that could be it. To answer this very specific end of that, what could she be doing wrong? Because there could be other reasons for this, but what could she be doing wrong? That was one of my thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I answered the question a little different than you. I said that when you hear this from a man, if she's consistently hearing this from that, when a man says this, that he either thinks that really that you are the type of person, you're the type of person he could marry, but there's some things that he's not, like either he's not ready. Like typically, and I said typically that's a financial thing. So like we don't like you're the type of person I can marry, but financially I don't have it. I said 2, you're a woman who I can marry, but there's something about you that I just like that probably most people could get over, but I can't get over that. So it could be that. So y'all, for me, a perfect example for me would be, if I've had women who I thought were phenomenal women, but because of their religious practices or something like that, like I couldn't get with that because I just couldn't do it. Yeah, it wasn't a good fit. Or he said that because he knew that's what you wanted to hear to get, so he can get some. And he knew that you would get your defenses down. Like you said, you would go into wife mode and all of the wonderful wife benefits that come along with it. You would jump into that mode and start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only three I gave. But that's typically why we do that.
It's a pretty good list.
We just don't. I mean, if we say it, it's usually gonna be for one of them three. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Yeah. I like LaGayla's point Jamaica's point that LaGayla just reminded us of. Some men may think a wife, not necessarily his. A lot of dudes can point out good women. A lot of men like to date good women, good wife material. They like to practice. That doesn't mean that they're looking for a wife. Yep. I can recognize a lot of things and not want it for myself. You know what I mean? You can see what it is. I can name it and not need it. So we that's when we ask. So that's when it's time to ask those clarifying questions. And fellas, when you say stuff like this is how we butt in with them random questions of, so what are we? Because we remember in that one time when you said we was wifey material and you ain't said nothing else about it since, or ain't acting like nothing else. She's getting her clarifying questions on. You know what I mean? Because these are the ways that you keep yourself out of hot water. This is how you get yourself, talk yourself in and out of dreams. Your clarifying questions. They're irritating, but they're necessary. And if you answer them truthfully, it saves you from a lot of uncomfortable situations later on. You think it's an awkward conversation answering what are we? Think about what are we a year from now?
Yeah. So I said, thank you. What I said was, you're everything I want, but I'm not ready to be the man you need, typically for financial and emotional reasons. There are areas of your life I don't vibe with, and it's too much to overlook. 3, I said, I'm trying to be nice because I don't want the smoke that comes with telling you the truth. 4, I've tried to let you down easy, but you're not listening. 5, you're trying to move way too fast. Or number 6, he just wants sex. Mm-hmm. That's what I posted. Yeah. Yeah, Terry says the player line. Yep. LaGayla says she could be doing everything right. LaGayla says true. Yes, everyone is attracted to light, butterflies, and moths alike. That's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely irritating. I hate them questions.
Yeah.
I hate, what I don't like? I don't mind I don't like the questions too early. Mm-hmm. And I don't like the like trying to ask me the same question 6-7 different ways to think, see if I'm gonna change my answer. I'm like, you just asked me that.
Yeah.
I know I did, but I asked it different this time. Like I know I'm not stupid. Mm-hmm. I know you asked me that 2 days ago, and then you text me the same thing too. I said the same thing. Slow down. I'm not ready. Mm-hmm. God bless her. God bless y'all ministry. Oh yeah, here we go. I thought this one was gonna get worse than what it actually got. So Jermaine asked the question. He says, I don't mean to offend anyone by any mental health advocates or anything like that. I just want to ask a question. Are we raising quitters? He said, again, it's just a question for the sake of conversation, referring to Naomi Osaka pulling out of Wimbledon. I think with the Australian that she pulled out, or the major tournament before that she pulled out of too. Yeah. So his question is, are we raising quitters?
In Naomi's situation, I say no. I think I fully support what she did. When you perform at her level, when you have the reach that she has currently as far as social media, her brand is concerned, no, I don't. I don't think she's going to miss anything. If anything, this is probably going to be a boost for her. People are rallying around her. But at the end of the day, I don't think she made this decision even for that. This was a decision she made solely for her. She tried to meet them in the middle. Hey, I'll pay the fines. I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? I will. Okay, fine. I'll do this. don't want to do that. Then they came for her. You know what I mean? They started to rally around her, trying to get her name shamed and all this other stuff. And this chick is winning. Like she's going through, this is Naomi MF in Osaka. You know what I mean? Like she's killing the game. And she's just saying, this part is something that I'm good on. You know what I mean? And they couldn't give her that. So no, I don't see this as quitting. I don't see this as quitting. I see this as saying, you know what? Okay. Do you? And I don't really have any issues with that. Any issues with that. And I think more of our brand leaders, our ambassadors, the people are the folks that the kids look up to. I think we need to have more of these kinds of conversations and make it okay for people to be human sometimes, because everybody deals with these types of things. There are people who have to ask the questions in the press conferences. They don't like press conferences either. You know what I mean? Like nobody enjoys that environment. And it's one of those feed the fish type things. And it's kind of crazy. To the whole, are we raising quitters in general? I think kids' value systems are different. And I don't necessarily think that that's weaker or it's necessarily quitting. I just don't think they value or prioritize all of the same things that we were raised to value and prioritize. I'm still grappling myself with are all those things positives? You know what I mean? As I grow and I learn and I experience different things, I'm still wondering if some of the things, the priorities, the values that I have, are they really rooted in the right stuff? Or is it just what we knew, what our people knew? You know? So when we talk about mental health and we talk about finding peace and passions and living our very best lives and, you know, putting those types of things into play and positioning our children to be able to do that. It's hard to teach a struggle when you haven't given your kids any struggle. You know what I mean? So it's almost in a way too, we have to also think about the lives that how we're raising our kids. Our kids don't know struggle. Where are they getting chips on their shoulders from? Like, what are they going through to be saying, I'm going to have this fortitude, this grit, this get up and go? Like, we're not putting them through nothing. So, not saying that our kids should struggle, but I'm just saying, like, why are we now fussing at them for having a certain quality, a certain expectation, a certain standard of life and how people treat them if we're the ones who gave it to them?
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to that Red Table Talk today with Kevin Hart and Will Smith, and they talked about how Will called it a failure of fatherhood by realizing that his kids, because of, he didn't use the word privilege, but because of their privilege that they were raised in, don't know. Kevin called it how to respond when you get punched in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like,
they don't know a hood. They don't know.
True. Like,
yeah.
I watch mine all the time. And I'll be like, I mean, he's 8, but I'll be thinking, and he should at this stage. Like, I'm like, dude is just happy. Like, that's all he knows is happy. Like,
yep.
Again, at 8, I think that's okay. But at some point, yeah, I do think that that's a problem. I answered on this question on the post. I said, in some instances, we are. In a lot of ways, I said we are. And I don't know. And I think we're raising people who, I said, part of me says, yes, we are. And part of me wonders, are we raising people who are learning to not have to perform all the time? Whereas because for us, we thought in order to get to a certain place in life, which is true, we got to suck it up and do what you have to do, no matter how you feel, no matter what's going on in your life. You compact that foolishness inside and you go to work. You go to work sick, you go to work, you go to work sick, you go to work tired, you go to work. If you got problems, you go to work. You go to church. If you sick, if you don't feel good, if you don't like, you just do it. You take care of your kids if you sick. Mm-hmm. And so on one hand, I think there's some merit to doing that. Mm-hmm. But because like the reality is the world don't care about us. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I do think that just because the world doesn't care about us doesn't mean we can't create a generation of people who do care about other people. Mm-hmm. And so they don't have
and about themselves.
Yeah. We don't have to perform just to get to a certain space in life. And I know some of that is kind of, pie in the sky, but that's just the reality.
I share with my children, basically, it's that the rationale is the same for both directions. The world does not care about you. None of the stuff you got going on. World don't care that you sick. No. World don't care that you got bills. World don't care somebody died. World don't care. None of that. So sometimes you're going to have to get up and go. You're going to have to do the thing because the world is going to go on and it's going to pass you by with or without you showing up. On the flip of that, the world don't care about you. World don't care if you're sick. World don't care if somebody died. Right. World don't care if the bill is due and the lights is off. World don't care. So sometimes you're going to have to suck it up and do what you got to do for you because the world don't care. You know what I mean? And if you are living your responsible, best life, you are making good decisions, you are exhibiting responsible behavior 98.9% of the time, that little wiggle room that you can provide yourself, and you can even give yourself a little bit more depending on how good a cushion you've given yourself. You know what I mean? But like, you have to give yourself some wiggle room. We were raised in a generation where there was no wiggle room. You work and then you work and then you work some more and then you work a little bit more than that because they thinking that you still being somewhere lazy. You know what I mean? So yeah, like it.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with you. I think we also gotta. I just think, especially for I don't know the answer to this. I think my concern is, especially when I'm looking at young men and the way that some of our young men, like it's to me, it feels like they very soft, and on some It's like on the one end, you got some who like don't have any feeling at all, and then some it's like you just have too much feeling. And so I always am concerned that are we raising men who can, who are not closed to emotion, but who are so open that they can't, be productive or be good husbands. And so I'm being sure. I don't know. I don't know, and I don't think I'm supposed to know. I think I'm supposed to just do the best I can to raise mine and those around me and leave it alone. But
I think our young men are learning to fight different. I think our society is learning to fight different. The traditional, hear me out.
I'm listening.
On a grand scale of how our world works now, it's not so much fisticuffs as it used to be. Mm-hmm. It is more intellectual warfare. It is fought online as far as this coding, this money. It's a money game. You got to be able to talk in a different type of circle. You have to be able to, because the way our laws are set, this fisticuffs thing ain't gonna get you in the game too long. That's not gonna get you very far. So I think because of the way society is switching, our little boys could fight a little bit better. Okay, fine. But what positions have we put them in to need to fight? That's the whole thing. Like, we have to own that part of it too, because we have said our kids won't have to do what we did. So we moved out of the neighborhoods where they would have to fight at 8 years old. We took them to the schools where they have the computers, where they have the access. We have the jobs that position them in places where they can get the extra, whatever they need. They can have the after school program instead of sliding the key in the backpack for them to make, you know what I mean? Like, we changed the lifestyles for our children. So therefore, I think our young men are learning more about how to create families. Those feelings are going to make them better fathers. It's going to make them better husbands. It's going to prepare them to be better community leaders. There are always going to be men that's going to fight. I'm not necessarily boys that's going to fight.
I agree. They shoot. But I'm talking about, when I say fight, I'm referring to the mental warfare that they have, that manhood requires. I'm saying, are we preparing? I don't know if we're doing that part of it, because there's a grit. There is a certain level of, I got to suck up how I feel right now to do what I got to do for my family. Like, that's just a part of it. And so I am concerned that there are going to be little young men who, to be quite honest, ain't gonna be up for that challenge. And again, I'm not suggesting that over the course of life, because at 14, 15, 16, I couldn't do that either. But I'm just saying, I don't know if we're like even developing them to that space
Yeah, that's a fair.
As they get to it, and then surrounding them with the for me, the older people who can give them wisdom, or will they listen to the wisdom that's necessary to help guide you through that season of life? Because I just don't know. I hope so. Mm-hmm. I hope that, again, that the advancements that we're making as we're trying to get them to to feel more would get us to a space where we're able to say, like, and I tell Trey all the time, I want you to feel.
Yeah.
But I also want you to be able to control how you feel.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need you crying all over the place. But I understand you're going to cry. Like, fine, I'm okay with you crying. But, dude, you can't cry all the time. Like, we got to figure out what this balance is of when it's appropriate, when it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
When I need you to, suck it up and just say, I got to be here for this moment to figure it out. That's why I'm like, okay, you done? Now figure out how we're going to fix this. Like, are we developing that kind of mental thing, or at the first sign of trouble, are we running? And that's for me, because I'll say that's just my concern. So I don't know.
Yeah, as a woman, as a mama, I can't speak to that, because my thought would be that's a man question. Like, that's a man question. I don't have any problem, deferring to the experts on that one. But that is, listening to your rationale for that. That is a very valid concern.
Yeah.
Especially when looking at the whole, Yeah. I can only speak to the conversations that I have with my son. We have some very real, raw conversations that sometimes he's even told me, like, I did not expect us to talk about that. I'm like, well, here we are, but that's the conversations that I have with mine. But when we're talking about communities of young men, our collectives, by and large, that's a valid concern.
Yeah. All right. That was good. Good hot topic. Yeah. Hot topics. Of course, hot topics are brought to you by Bob Shamrock. Bob Shamrock, 2901 Northwest 10th Street, where you can pull up and fill up your stomach, fill up your gas tank. 2901 Northwest 10th Street, across from the fairgrounds. Go in there and tell them the scoop sent you. All right. Oh, hold on.
Now.
Hold on. Sorry.
Hold on.
Of course, he said this earlier, but of course, for some reason, the graphic wouldn't pull up. Of course, if you're not following us on all of our social media, do it. YouTube at The Scoop Show, on Facebook at Real Scoop Show, and on Instagram at Scoop Radio Show. That way you don't miss anything. And when you go to go there, make sure y'all sign up to the Scoop Show, the Facebook page. Sign up for our email list. We done revamped the email list, and so now you get more stuff and more goodness, and so sign up for the email list too on there. All right, and then last but definitely not least, it ain't on here. Never. Oh, hold on, here it is. We gotta do this. Where's that? Where's the mute button? Here it is. Play.
Hey, I'm D. Brandon Campbell, the founder of the Christianpreneur Company. I'm so excited to be telling you about our conference, the Mind, Body, and Soul Conference, featuring Jermaine Stearns and Juanita Yancey. We're going to be talking about some amazing topics at this conference, and I want you to be a part. Listen, I know COVID has been so hard on us, and I just wanted to do something that was going to encourage us and that was going to help us to grow and be a better version of ourselves. So I decided to come together with my team and put together the Mind, Body, and Soul Conference. For just $19, you're going to hear some great practical wisdom on the areas of mindset, relationships, and spirituality. Listen, we can all use a tune-up in our mindsets. We can all use a little help with our relationships, and we definitely can use a little bit more strength from our spirituality. So I want you to be a part of this conference. Go ahead and click the link right now and be a part of the Mind, Body, and Soul Conference presented to you by the Christianpreneur Company.
Last one. And then, of course, y'all, if y'all want to advertise with us, make sure you do that too. Get with us at globaldriveradio@gmail.com and advertise with us. All right, we done paid all our bills. Go for it, Keith.
All right. So, I can do it again. Tonight, we are going to broach a topic that we have talked about before, but we came at it from the feelings perspective. Tonight, we're going to talk about this here paperwork. We're going to talk about this from a different from a different angle. We are going to discuss, is marriage necessary? The reason why we're talking about this, we have two different conversations. The first one, I think, yes, the first one was a meme that has been going around here recently, and regarding our late DMX. Okay, DMX, the judge denied DMX's fiance to be legally declared his common law wife. So I don't know all of the details and backstory about this particular relationship. I didn't share this particular meme to discuss the inner workings of their relationship. Just want to start with that before we go in on all of the gossip and what we know or don't know or whatever the fact about these two individuals. I posted this, and I posted the caption to something of the matter of, we always talk about within our community that marriage is just a piece of paper. We weigh out the negatives and the positives about marriage and all this, and we're to the point now where we're really actively discussing, is it really necessary for us to get married anymore? But that question we're not asking, should we still continue to have children? Should we go and buy homes together? Should we make investments together? Should we start sharing finances together? We don't do any of those. We're free reign for those things. All we got to do is feel a certain type of way about someone, and we're willing to go all in with them for 17 years, 20 years, decades long with people, but we won't say we're going to go ahead and get married to make all of those other things in alignment. Okay. So we're going to talk about this, and that's where we're going as far as the whole marriage thing is concerned. And we also had the other conversation about, I believe it was arranged marriages. Do you have an image for that? Yeah. So this one, should we go back to arranging marriages? He gave us some quotes here. About 40 to 50% of couples in the U.S. get divorced, but the divorce rate for couples making $250K plus is less than, I'm not sure what that number is. Successful people understand that marriage and family is a business, and it's more about duty to one another as opposed to a fairy tale. Broke people usually base their marriage and relationships on love, and that's why they usually end. I'm not saying you shouldn't love your partner, because you should, but I am saying the foundation should be about duty and commitment to one another more than anything. This is why arranged marriages statistically last so much longer. They understand these principles. If you plan to be with someone for life, the odds of you always being in love with them is slim. There will more than likely be moments of strife. And if love is the only thing you value, you will leave. But understanding that it's about duty and commitment, I'm assuming the rest of that is, you will succeed. Mm-hmm. Love is nothing but a feeling, and feelings change like the weather. But to value, understand, and commit to the duty you have and made an oath is to how you'll get to 20, 30, 50 plus years in. Okay. So we're having a conversation. This is where we're at. Okay. We're talking about after. Okay. More or less, we're talking about after. What you leave, what you're preparing, what foundation you are setting for your after. So yeah. Let's get into it. Gwen, what are your thoughts on this before I share my thoughts on it?
So first of all, I've never thought marriage was just a piece of paper. So that's, to me, the premise of it is faulty.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say right necessarily, but okay.
You said what?
I said right, like, everyone's just in agreement, but I'm gonna say okay. I'm in my moderator mode right now. Okay. Yeah.
I'm just like, I've never thought this whole marriage is a piece of paper or marriage is a business transaction. Mm-hmm. All of that to me sounds retarded. I think that's a part of it, that's something that we definitely should. And I think that in certain cultures, let me be clear, in certain cultures, that is the reason. We know historically that there have been King Philip, and I think it's Philip and Isabella, for stuff like that, who decided they were going to get married to unite both of their families and become one huge family who had who had the majority of Spain and stuff like
Right.
that. So we know that historically is. But when we're talking about people who make $60,000 a year, I think this is just a weird kind of like okay, even if we make 200, it's like we make 250. First of all, most people get married in their 20s. Let's start here. Most people start getting married in their 20s and start getting to the 250 range in their 40s.
Late in the game. Later in the game.
Like the financial potential should be a part of how you choose your spouse. I absolutely am on board with that. But I just think that we're I think to say that it's just a sheet of paper is not accurate. And I think to leave it like I don't know anything about the DMX situation, any of the details, but to not take care of that kind of business to me just seems very unloving. Like if you love somebody, you want to make sure they're covered, they're taken care of to the best of your ability, and that just like if you were common law, or if you're going to do common law, at least put a will together. Where was the will? So the whole situation is weird to me.
Yeah. This is interesting to me because we often, when we say we defend our not being married with there's other ways that you can go about covering whatever in case you die. Yeah. But have you done those things? If you've actually gone out and pay the people to put forth that paperwork, or actually put in the effort to go and get the paperwork, fill it out, get it notarized, get it filed, make sure everybody knows what's going on, educated the people about what you want, all those. If you've done those things, okay, cool, fine. Do you? You know what I mean? If we're removing the feelings from the whole thing and you've done what you're supposed to do so that your woman that you have been living with for 17 years, but for whatever reason you don't want to make your wife, or the man that you done all your life with for the last 20 some odd years, now I don't need no husband. Okay, fine. If you go and do your paperwork where when you pass or if they pass, it's a smooth transition and everyone can grieve easy and go through and be okay, cool. But if you don't do that, I don't think we understand the convenience that marriage also holds. The whole fact of saying this is spouse on all the paperwork, this person has the same and equal rights to all of the things that this person had. If you get up out of here, do you really want your babies, the money that you set aside, that you put in your 8-year-old's name because you didn't happen to make it home because a drunk driver T-boned you or whatever? Now you got to deal with your crazy sister who don't like your baby mama is now the beneficiary over the money that you set aside for your children that are going to still be with that woman. You know what I mean? So now whenever your kids need something, the mama's going to have to go through your sister to get access for the baby. Like, what are you doing for your family? Like, why are you putting your family that's left over through this inconvenience when all we... Come on now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gone. Your children now have to deal with going through all these other people. They have to disrupt their stability. They have to grieve through
and deal with this.
Not
to mention that that wills can be contested. Wills can be contested. So if you write a will, and let's just say your sister doesn't like your baby mama. Or the mother of your children, or your girlfriend of however many years, they can contest that will. And now you've got a 2-year process where not only do your children not have access to some of that money potentially, but also a good chunk of your estate is going to be taken up in fee and court costs and lawyer fees. And if my memory is still correct, in your average case where wills are contested, it's somewhere between 40 and 50% of the estate is usually gone just in court costs and lawyer fees.
And for what?
So if you leave $1 million and 400,000 of that, 500,000 of that is gone just to a lawyer because. So I think to say it's just a piece of paper, it's just not. That's not accurate.
There's so much more to that because our society puts so much more weight on that one piece of paper. That's not just something that makes you all warm and fuzzy that you keep in your drawer and, oh, we got it. That's what your rings are. That marriage certificate does something different.
I think we should, I think what we should just say, and I've said it before, myself, I don't want to get married again. I don't want to get married. I don't want to get married again. I don't want the potential heartbreak, I don't want the potential, the drama that I had to deal with before. I don't want to go through, you know what I mean, the possibility of divorce. I don't want to have to nobody telling me what to do. I don't want any of that. So that's why I don't want to get married. Don't and this, like, to say it's just a piece of paper, to me is just like, nah, that it wasn't really because I just didn't want the piece of paper, because I could do the same thing with somebody who I'm not married to, which I've said before. I've said it. I'm guilty. But then when you sit back and think about it, it's like, yeah, you can do the same thing, but there's a level of commitment that you're agreeing to, a level of commitment financially, emotionally, spiritually, and all, you know, with all other stuff about you that you're agreeing to, that comes with it. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Just say you don't want to do it. Right. But just don't say it's just a piece of paper and it don't really mean nothing, no way. Because that's not true. Yeah. Not true. Been there, done that. I've said it.
I don't understand. And this is just me. Like, the whole is just a piece of paper thing, but you're not going nowhere. You're going to do all the things that the piece of paper entitles you to, but
yes,
you get the benefits that the piece of paper going to give you.
But then also let's no, you ain't about to make me sound like an old man, but I'm as the old man. Look, but you're gonna get all the benefits of it. I want the benefits of it.
Right.
I just don't want.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're living the life. Like, if you're gonna live as single people, then fine, live as single people. But if you spending decades with you buying houses, you are going in on, you know, like,
you don't want the accountability. You don't want the accountability. You don't want the responsibility. You want the fun. Give me the fun of being with you.
When you start mixing funds, though, it gets harder to just have fun. Like, even when you get ready to after 10 years, you know what I mean? Like, after that's a long time to just be like, no, I'm good. Like, you're just not going to. That's what kills me about those people that say that to me. And I mean, I'm probably gonna sound real judgy right now, and I don't really care. I'm just saying, like, we've been together forever. Ain't nobody going nowhere. Like, we're stuck. We're not going anywhere. I'm going to die with this person. You know what I mean? And I don't know, like, just the fact that knowing that they'll be married, like, somehow shifts something in their brain, and now it's just going to be doomed. But I'm willing to do all of these other contractual things together. You know what I mean? And go into all the other agreements. I've made a whole other people with these people. We got families, grandkids together. But this one thing,
I'm telling you, a lot of it, and some of it is just the mental. It's really just a mental freedom for some. Like, for some, it's like, listen, I've had conversations with people, and they're like, I get all of that. Like, everything that we're saying, they're like, I get it. But the fact that in my mind I can be out of here whenever I'm ready is cool with me. Is what I want.
That's a fantasy, because you're not really out of there.
I mean, they leave. Like, if the relationship ended, they're like, if I'm not attached to, they don't get my pension. They're not attached to, like, they don't want that. So I think we just have to be honest. Again, if we choose to be in this type of relationship, then we're saying that that marriage is just a piece of paper thing is really saying, I'm signing up and saying I'm okay with just not getting anything when this person leaves.
Yeah. I guess I'm not thinking about the if we leave. I'm thinking of, you never know. We always think about the things we can prepare for. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's my thing. If you're not going to get married, at least put forth the paper, put something in place that this person that you love can be taken care of if before you get to that point, something happens to you. That's really the root of what my family itself has had some grief over the last few weeks. Like, it's hit us. So this is real for me right now. And I just keep thinking to myself, and thankfully everybody had their stuff together. So we're not having you know, families not having these things go
Yeah.
on. But it just reconfirmed for me how important that is and how much crazier these last few weeks would have been had that not been handled. You know what I mean? Like if had people not understood, like it not have been in place, like the paperwork had not been done, how crazy that would be. And there's so many of us that don't do it. We just, we are right. We gonna ride or die, not knowing how fast that ride or die might be.
Listen, I've seen, as a banker,
It's crazy.
I've seen funerals not happen.
Yep.
Because of stuff like this. Like, we were together. No, we were never married. I thought because we've been together, we were common law. That we not common law. The insurance companies say, I don't have access to none of the money, or the money got sent to his sister and his sisters across country, and she don't like me, and so she said I can't have none. So how are we gonna bury him? And I'm not on none of the bank accounts, so that means that I can't even get the money that's in his account to bury him. So either I got to come up with the money or GoFundMe. It's like I've seen all of this firsthand, and it is like, and to sit there, I remember one lady, she sat there like and just wept. Mm-hmm. Like, I was with him for 20 years, and you mean to tell me I got nothing?
Nothing.
She's like, I don't even got the house. I got to get out the house because the house goes to his sister. I was like, there's nothing I could do. I'm like, no, get a lawyer. That's all I can tell you. So I can't touch nothing. But you know we together. But your name ain't on.
Been seeing you for 20 years, ma'am. I know.
Your name ain't on anything.
Yeah. So I could never leave I just could not. I don't want to leave the people that I leave behind with that type of level of. To me, that it would be the most selfish thing for me to do, is to leave them to fight about something I just could have made real plain. Yeah. Real plain. Ooh. Yeah. If I have minor children, I want my money to go where my babies are going. I wish I would put that on my 60-plus-year-old parents. You know what I mean? To have to deal with all that. You know what I mean? Like, why would you have to have them navigate that all over again? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
I done seen it all, child. I done seen it all.
Yeah. Agreed, Donna. Donna says the marriage certificate carries a lot of weight. It does. It does. Chelsea says a level of commitment comes with that piece of paper. You want all that, but none of the paper? Nah. Yep.
Yeah, Monica says lots of important things have paper: birth certificates, deeds, driver's license, any license. Yep, that's true. The marriage. Wait. So I guess let's throw it out to the people. Like, would you do this? Is this something you would consider being in this type of relationship, or nah? Let's see. Couples need to have conversations, real intentions, conversations on what is important, so these things don't happen. Agree. I'm interested in knowing, like, would you stay in that type of relationship? Because again, the relationships that I know that are like that, or I've seen that are like that, they know. Like, they know that there's no intention of him or her ever getting married. Mm-hmm. And so they have that choice whether they're going to stay or leave. And they all, up until this point that I know of, have decided to stay.
No, this wouldn't work for me. This probably wouldn't work for me. Because that convenience, that if we're going to be together long term, we're going to be together long term. You're not about to leave me out here running around, ripping around crazy, trying to be crying in everybody's offices and whatnot, because I got to bring this paperwork over here and I got to run this paper to get notarized and drop this paper off. There's enough that goes on with grieving that's attached to all of that. There's enough ripping and running. I've had to watch too many folks do that over the last few years. There is enough that comes with just with having the marriage certificate that you got to do. You're not going to have me out here running around crazy. We're not going to have to split up deeds, and I ain't going to have to beg the people to get me into the account of money that I done put in No, I'm not built that way. So no, this wouldn't work for me. I'm not even going to be one of the ones where we're going to get all that paperwork done. The paper we finna sign is this here marriage certificate, homie, or we ain't going to sign no paper. You can keep all your stuff over there, and I'll keep all my stuff over here. So when I get up on out of here, I'm gonna just get on up out of here, and all my babies is covered, and that's good. But No, we're not gonna share everything, and then you're gonna make my life crazy when we got to untangle all of this once you get up out of it. No. Mm-mm. It's rough regardless, but you ain't gonna make it more rough. Like, you ain't make it no. And I wouldn't want that for you either. I'm willing to do all the same for you. I'll sign on the same dotted line as you. I'm right there behind you, baby. Mm-mm. All of the lambs, all of them. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Oh, Monty said, she said, no, why stay if there's no commitment on paper? Yeah. Monica says, I would not live with anyone under these circumstances. You wouldn't live with them, or you wouldn't stay with them for a long period of time. I'm assuming she means stay with them for a long period of time. Yeah, it happens a lot.
What does that say about you, though? What does that say about how you feel about me? If I want to go, I just want to go. What, sir? Like
I mean, hey, I'm not disagreeing, but I'm saying, as someone who early on said I would never get married again, I thought I was like, I'll never get married again. Like, so I understand that from the sake of trauma, but I was traumatized to still getting over it. That's when I said it. So I understand the feeling of it, but at the same time, no, because I wouldn't want it done to me. Like, if I'm not going to, like, or if I'm going to do it, I'm going to let it be known up front. And if that's what you choose to do, that's what you choose to do. But nah, let's see. If one of them is in the hospital, the other has no rights, they will call his mama. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That is true. You get no say so on life-saving measures. You get nothing unless you are their
power of attorney.
They have their power of attorney, or their I forgot what they call them. But yeah,
the director, I know what you're
advanced directive. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Advanced directive. Thank you. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's very tough. I think to answer the question about the money part of it, the other group of questions,
the arranged marriage part,
the arranged marriage. I just think we just gotta. I think that when a bunch of poor people try to figure out what it's like to have money, we mess it up a lot. And that's what that sounds like. Mm-hmm. Again, I do think anybody who I know who's in that category, that 250 plus, divorce, the idea of getting divorced. So let me say this. If you're like right around the 250 mark, the idea of getting divorced does seem, they're like, you know what, I really need to think through this because I'm comfortable. Mm-hmm. So that might not be a bad thing. However, I also know a ton of people, or have experienced a ton of people in that range, who are miserable, who are absolutely married and miserable and only staying because they don't want to give up that money. And so to me, the trade-off, if it's a question of trading off your peace and, overall happiness for money, then that doesn't make a lot of sense, because that's a quality of life issue. Now, people who the few people I know who make way more than the 250, they don't typically mind. Mm-hmm. Like, they're like, man, it's going to suck that I'm about to lose this little bit of money. I'm going to go make some more and I'm all right, because I'm not dealing with this. Mm-hmm. And vice versa, the person that they're with is like, if the other person is the one making most of the money, they're like, shoot. Typically, like we saw with, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that like Bill Gates' wife knew he was out there doing what he was doing for years, but she ain't want to give up off that coin. Mm-mm. So
she had a long game.
Yeah, so
it was lucrative for both of them to make those moves for the brand in general, so they can continue to be wealthy. Yeah.
So I think so to me, that doesn't mean a better quality of life or better marriages just because. So that's why to me, like, the whole divorce rate is lower carries some weight, but it's like, no, I think we have to get into the nuances of what a lower divorce rate meant, because in the 70s, divorce rates was really low, but they weren't low because people were happy. They were low because before you can get a divorce, the wife and the husband had to sign off on the divorce, and the husband typically wouldn't sign off on it. Uh-huh. So that doesn't necessarily mean people were happier. It just means that the way the system was set up, or for whatever reason, they just decided they were going to have to stay married. So
I think arranged marriages will come back eventually. I think with the shift for Black folks, I think they will resurface or gain more traction. And I say that it's going to be more effective in the future than right now because of what we're preparing our children for now. Like if we were to be around, like you said, the whole broke people thing, like that, yeah, that's chaos. That's not going to work. But I think what we're seeing happening is there is a group of families who are positioning themselves differently than the rest.
Yes,
so you will
absolutely.
see a resurgence of some of those groups, those cliques. What were the Jack and Jills, the debutante ball, those types of things.
Now.
Yep, it's coming back. It's coming back because they're not going to keep fighting with folks about who is going, where we're going to create our legacy. We say we're tired of talking about it. It's time to be about it. So we're going to create healthy, whole, focused, career-minded, success-minded, family-oriented. Your baby is going to be raised like this. Your baby is going to be raised like this. We're going to keep them in the same place. So we don't have to force them to feel for each other. They've grown up together. They know each other. This is their crew. This is their society. This is their crew. This is their tribe. So all of these successful Black kids can come up, procreate, and create other successful Black kids. And that's what our arranging is going to look like. Because like
talented, that is the talented 10th. That's what that is called.
That's been and I just see that's what's going to happen. And I don't really see anything wrong with that. I don't really see anything wrong with that. I'm sorry.
I think when it is, I think it's wrong when it gets to a situation where it's forced.
Yeah.
That's where, again, if two people want to be together and they top earners, knock yourself out. Mm-hmm. It's just when it's forced that I think it's forced, or when we start when we start like kicking people out of families. Like, I don't know if I saw one story where well, that's not the same, but one lady said that, I read a story, the lady said if her son has a child out of wedlock, he loses his inheritance.
Oh, yeah. So that's why I say this will work in the future, because we still twist it up and we still have a lot of control and possession issues. Like, we're still working through our stuff. I think, and if not us, maybe not even our kids, because we still working some of our stuff out on our kids. Our kids are looking at us going, yeah, y'all almost there, but
yeah, I agree with you.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I got some work. Yeah, we can.
Right, yeah, you know what I mean?
But it ain't there
maybe
yet.
Our grandkids, those will start to be the generation, because we're not ready. We're just not ready. We're still bickering over things that really aren't elevating us yet. You know what I mean? So it's still going to take some time for us to work some things out, so that we won't be kicking our kids out for being different. We won't be kicking them out for not following the past or being human or those types of things. That's what we're working out. That is honestly what I think is starting to get washed out of our culture, because our kids just aren't going for it. Kids are not coming back home when they're finding out that their families are not. They are like, okay, all right, you know what I mean? So that's shifting. The love that we have is forcing us into some different ways. So like, it's hard for us to see it now because we're still here. We're still passionate and dug in about the stuff that we have, but our kids are looking at us like, yeah, you just wait, just wait, because okay.
Let's see. Nikki says, I think Esther Pearl makes a great point. People used to marry out of necessity, survival, and convenience. Now people marry for love and happiness. And she says, can we learn to marry the two and create the marriage we desire? Yeah. Because I think money should be a part of it. And I think that, like, we'll go from there. I think there'll always be a group of people who marry for survival and convenience. But I think that there is, I can see a growing group of people who are saying, this is where this whole marrying up, marrying down conversation comes into play, that we're going to marry. And again, I'm not suggesting we shouldn't do it. Yeah. I do think that we should say, what do you want to be? You know, I've been preaching this for years. What do you want to, you want to be a teacher? I that's not the lifestyle I want. Yeah. Okay. And I know that sounds harsh, but I think that that's something we should be considered. We should consider that. If you're going to be a teacher and I want to live the lifestyle of Melinda Gates, and you're going to be a teacher, unless we're going to figure out some way to make a whole lot more money off this teacher salary, that's not something I want. I think that should be considered. Not the only thing, but I think that should be considered in how we choose spouses. Yep.
Find a lid for your pot and get to cooking. You know what I mean? Like, this is Right. And I think eventually we're going to stop, because right now we do a lot of explaining and qualifying for other people. We do way too much qualifying for folks that ain't have nothing to do with your situation. I think when we start to focus back in, and actually when success and wealth and true like power, when we start to really get power in some things and can make some things move, it'll shift us from these little things. You know what I mean? Like when those things start to really present themselves, there will be no other choice but to be like, okay, wait, what are we doing now? You know what I mean? So that you can't be distracted by the other thing. So it won't even look as though we're arranging. You are positioning. We can't fathom what positioning looks like. You know what I mean? Because we have to start positioning for something different. Right now, it still sounds ugly. It still sounds exclusionary. You know, well, no, like we for other folks to be able to come along, some folks got to get in position. You know what I mean? And I think somebody got to start.
So can we go back? So can we go? Listen. So positioning to me, you know, this includes this idea of as I'm going way off topic here, but
it's been a while. Go for it.
As a parent, or as you know, like trying to push your kids in certain places, like I think we have to like. People laugh at me when I say this, but I'm like every other in a lot of other communities, not every other, but in a lot of other communities, especially the ones who are later come over here later, push their kids into certain careers. And so, we keep saying like we don't want to force our kids to do things, but I think we do have to try to, I don't want to use the word force, but push them towards areas that are making more money, because that's the position that we need to be in. We need to be in positions to make more money and to build more wealth. So again, I'm not suggesting that that's the only thing that needs to make us compatible, that needs to make our relationships successful. But I think to ignore the financial part of marriage is kind of I don't say unrealistic, but it's not. I don't think it's fair.
It's not, because it takes good finances to get a solid, happy, flourishing marriage. You can't be worried about check to check and paying all the bills and still consider yourself happy. Yeah, you're causing undue stress for what? Yes. As far as your comment about our children and what we do, I think yes, we do need to position our children in certain fields also, but we also need to expose them to those things. It's one thing to say you're going to be a doctor, but if you never put them in position, if you never expose them to other doctors who look like them, things that they might be interested in that are going to help buy them in. It's one thing if that's your dream, but if you don't give the kids an opportunity to feel around in that space and figure out what it is that they want, then you're just that's my mama's dream. They're not going to be at all worried about what you know what I mean? So like we have to put in the work we have to put in not an equal effort, but a matched interest and effort of our children for their futures. If we're going to be that involved, if you're going to just let them figure it out, then
I think we have to, what you said, it's about exposing them to, we have to be involved enough to expose them to, first of all, finding out what their strengths are.
Yeah. And
then saying, based upon what you're good at, these are all of the different things you can do that, they're really good. Like, for example, like me and we're having a conversation, we're talking about, he's like, I want to be a police officer. I was like, why? Because I want to help people. Well, doctors help people.
Lots of ways you can
help people. Yeah. Like, we got to talk about this, because he's like, well, what's wrong with a police officer? Absolutely nothing, except for the salary. So police officers, I'm going with the salary.
And the more there's a lot of things other than money.
Right. But I'm just, but I'm like, but there's a salary, so we're talking. He was like, and I get at 8, I get he doesn't completely fully understand that, but and his mother does the same thing. Like, hey, come to work, look at these doctors. Let me show you this lifestyle. So like there's so I appreciate that, but I think we have to put them out there, put them in. Like, show them, like, okay, just because you're good at this does not lock you in to one type of field. There's a whole plethora of things that you can do to help you fulfill this skill set that you have or this purpose that you have of helping people or whatever, want to be artistic. How can you be artistic? You can do it all of these different ways. So yeah.
Yep. You know what I'm saying?
We have to deal with some of the stuff we had to deal with.
Right. And so we don't really know how that is necessarily supposed to happen because we haven't done it yet. We just know we want you to do different.
We ain't been exposed to it.
Huh?
I said, yes, we haven't been exposed to it.
Yeah. So, we have to own that is something that we have to figure out too and tell them that. You know what I mean? You can't say just own your business because you got a bad experience with bosses. You know what I mean? You need to show them these things are what our community needs. And you can make good money doing these things. You know why? Because within this 50-mile radius, there are only 3 of these things here. And everyone in this 50-mile radius has an air conditioner. There are 3 people that they could call within this area on any given day. And only one of them is open on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Like if you break stuff like that down to your kids, then all of a sudden it's like, you know what? And the program is this amount of time. You work with somebody who's been doing it for X amount of years. They show you all the ropes. You meet all the people. You make the networking. Boom. Now you got a business. Not only have you given them a business, your baby is a whole entrepreneur out here in these streets, but they're an entrepreneur in any street. You know what I'm saying? You could do it. You like those are the things. And you don't even have to do a whole lot of like super Google and do all the like that is an easy thing. You can go to Google and say air conditioning repair services within 50-mile radius. Pull them up and show them. You know what I mean? And make it tangible for your kids. And those types of things can spark interest in a different way, other than, you need to make some money. Make money doing a whole lot of things. Like, okay, thanks, Pops. Good talk, Mom. Like that's not it.
Yeah,
you gotta
we need more than that.
Lock in. Yeah.
Good discussion.
Very good. I got a thing. My thing says that we are not. I want to make sure I'm not tripping. Y'all let us know if we're still live.
I still see we live, but it looked like
mine said it was interrupted a few seconds ago, and now we've only got 2 people watching.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, live video interrupted. The broadcast has been paused. It should resume shortly. But it says that we're live on Be Live.
And on my Facebook, it still shows live.
Lord have mercy.
Okay, yeah, you just stopped. Let's see. Let's see. Nope. It just ended.
Yeah.
So are we live or not? Yeah, we're not live. Okay, video ended. All right. Do we go back on for 10 minutes or 5 minutes? Let's just end it.
And we can make a post saying it.
Yeah, just ended it. All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Good show.
That was a really good show.
And it ended at the right time. Okay.
Yeah, right. All right,
if you're going to drop in. Drop when we done.
Right.
All right. I'll make a video real quick.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
See you tomorrow.